Okay, so now we are recording. Thank you, everyone.
Well, once again, thank you all so much for coming on here this morning. It is so amazing to be able to be here with all of you. I would like to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Laura Anaya, and I am one of the transfer mentors here at ELAC. I'm so excited to be here and share some very, very valuable and important information. And I'll go ahead and have my colleague go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ivy Trung, and I'm also a transfer mentor in the Transfer Center. And I'm really excited to be here with you all so early in the morning, but we're learning about important things today, which is UC Tag. Thank you, everyone. And again, we're here for you. If you have any questions, feel free to message us in the chat box or unmute yourself and let us know your question. We're here for you.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and continue the presentation. So we are here to learn a little bit about the UC Transfer Admission Guarantee, known as TAG, UC TAG. And I would like to go ahead and, welcome all of you once again. And I would like to know a little bit about how familiar you all are about TAG. So I'm going to actually go ahead and launch a poll.
Around 60% of us are unfamiliar with UC Tag, and we have some students who are very familiar, and some who are very unfamiliar. For how many transfer units do you have right now? We have a couple students who are 0 to 15, some who are 31 to 45 units, and then half of us here have 46 to 60 or more units. And so this question is just to help Laura and I get familiarized with where you all are at in regards to your transfer process and how you feel about UC Tag. It's okay if you feel unfamiliar or very unfamiliar with UC Tag. This is why we're here and why you all are here today. So thank you for coming, and I hope by the end of this workshop you will feel very familiar with UC Tag and you're more familiarized with the transfer process to a UC system. I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ivy. So a little bit of our agenda this morning, we're going to go ahead and learn a little bit about the benefits of applying to UCs, what are UCs looking for, as well as the UC Transfer Admission Planner, known as the TAP. We will also have an overview of the Transfer Admissions Guarantee, which is, TAG. We're going to review the TAG matrix as well, and a little bit about the UC application timeline. I know this looks a little long. Some words might be new to all of you, a little intimidating. We are here to support you through this process, so don't think like you have to know all of this by the end of the presentation, okay? So we're going to go ahead and share a little bit about the benefits of applying to UCs. And in the UC system, we do have something that's called the Blue and Gold Opportunity Plan. Have any of you heard of that plan before? If so, please, kind of put that in the chat for us to know how familiar with this. However, if you're not, that is totally okay. So the Blue and Gold Plan is a little bit of a financial assistance in a way. This is what the UC system has to pay your tuition and fees here if you are a California resident and if your total family income is less than $80,000 a year. Of course, you must qualify for financial aid, and most transfer students, may even pay $0 in tuition, which is like amazing, right? So that's why it's important that you start getting familiar with this. In addition, nearly a third of UC undergrad students transfer from community colleges, and 2 out of 3 transfer students also apply and actually get admitted. As well as UC offers a lot of great opportunities to do research and prepare you for graduate school. So if any of you are planning to dive into a little bit more research-based campus, then a UC would be probably the most appropriate for you. So here we have 9 undergraduate UC campuses, starting with UC Davis, UC Berkeley, UC Santa Cruz, UC Merced, and then a little bit down south, UC Santa Barbara, UCLA, UC Riverside, UC Irvine, and UC San Diego. So that's a little bit of the UC campuses that we have. So we're going to go ahead and continue and exploring what UCs are actually looking for when you are doing your application. So there are primary factors in regards to your academics, right? So the requirements include the 60 transferable units, the minimum of a 2.4 GPA in a UC transferable courses, a completion of the 7 course patterns. So most of you may already have completed the English composition, English critical thinking, the math, of course, the 4 courses within arts and humanities, social behavioral sciences, physical and biological sciences. And of course, all of this has to be with a grade of C or better. I know I just listed and said a lot of fancy words right now. However, that's why we have transfer counselors, because they're there to guide you and support you and make sure that you already have these courses completed or in progress. So we're going to go ahead and continue. But just to point out one very important thing listed on here in red on the bottom, courses must be completed by the end of spring term prior to fall admission, okay? So if any of you are a little unsure about any of these classes that were mentioned, and if maybe you're still completing some of these, please make sure you reach out to us and we can go ahead and help you make an appointment with a transfer counselor. And again, this is some of the 7 course patterns. So this is the, on the screen, you could see the intersegmental general education curriculum, transfer curriculum, which is known as IGETC for short, because it's such a long word. But if you at least remember IGETC, you're good. So again, these are some of the courses. This form may or may not look familiar. However, again, this is something that you would go ahead and discuss with a counselor, and usually they will go ahead and tell you what classes you can take to fulfill all those areas in this form. Oops. And to continue, we do have major preparation or prerequisite courses. So this means that the sooner these courses are completed, the more competitive your application will be. So again, it is important that you complete those major prep classes. And if you're unsure about what those are, please make sure you stick around at the end and we'll go ahead and guide you through the right direction of that. There's also GE courses. If you're a STEM major, like a bio, chemistry, physics, then you want to check with the counselor to determine how many GE classes you need to take. Usually because those are high unit courses, so they're usually about 5 units, so you might not have a lot of GEs to go ahead and complete. Your GPA and transferable courses, participation in academically selective honor courses or programs. Some of those include our ELAC honors program, as well as university summer programs like UCLA CCCP, UCSB, UCI RTLA. And if you want to know a little bit more about these programs, I know things are a little bit different right now, the circumstances we're living in. However, we want to make sure you have the information about these programs and see what their plans are. And there are secondary factors which include the personal insight questions known as PIQs. If any of you apply to UCs maybe as a senior in high school, you also had to complete these personal insight questions. However, they are slightly different. Something that is similar though is that they do ask for any special talents, achievements, awards, skills, any service, basically any involvement that you've actually had they're going to want you to go ahead and write a little bit about those experiences. Any projects, again, this is something that may assist you with standing out while you're completing your application. And I'll have Ivy correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do believe we also assist students with writing these PIQs. So again, if writing might not be your forte, just know that we're here for you, and we can definitely make an appointment to sit with us, and we can guide you throughout that process. Also, there's academic accomplishments in your life experiences. For example, if I don't know how many of you are first-gen college students. I know I am. Low income, etc. So any of these resonate with you, please make sure that you talk about that experience as well. And lastly, you can go ahead and you want to make sure, I'm sorry, that you complete your associate degree to transfer. I don't know how familiar you all are in regards to the AAT or AST, but you know, again, this is not required. And if you have questions in regards to that, that would be something you would need to make an appointment with a counselor. And now I'm going to go ahead and shift this with my colleague, and I'll go ahead and stop share.
Okay, so in regards to TAP, which is Transfer Admission Planner, I'm going to put a website where you can create your own UC TAP account while I'm going through this. So if you've never been on the website before, in the chat box is the UC TAP website that you can click on to create an account, and I'll go through what it is. So with UC TAP, it is an online tool that helps guide you as you prepare to transfer to a UC campus. By using TAP, you can track your progress towards meeting admission requirements, and this tool calculates the community college transferable units and UC transferable GPA. So we did have a question in the chat box asking if you do need to input non-college courses, for example, like non-transferable courses. You would still need to put in everything that you've ever taken at a college onto the application and onto the transfer admission planner, which is UC TAP. However, it won't be calculated in your transferable GPA. So with this tool, it helps us kind of look at the difference between our UC transferable units and our non-transferable. So with this tool, it calculates our UC transferable GPA, which is what the UCs look at. So you may have taken some non-transferable courses and electives. Just know that that won't be a part of your UC transferable GPA. This tool helps calculate the transferable units that you have and the transferable GPA that you have to a UC. You also may have taken some courses that are only transferable to Cal State, so just know that that won't be calculated in the transferable units and the transferable GPA for this UC application. And then if you have any additional questions, please message us again, and I'll try to better explain it for you. And then lastly, for UC TAP, you are able to receive important notifications about events and resources directly from the UC. So just make sure that you do create a UC TAP account. It is a requirement for UC TAG. So in order to create a UC TAP account, please click on the link that I have put in the chat box. And this is what it will look like, where it says new to UC TAP, create an account now. If you've already created an account, just log in with your login ID and your password. And remember that when you're creating this account, make sure to use an email and contact information that you do have access to. Make sure to write down your username, your password, because a lot of times our students do forget and it is a little bit more difficult to log in. Just know that make sure to have it on hand, because things do happen and we do forget. It would be a lot easier if you would write down your ID and password, and make sure that you're inputting the right email and contact information that you have access to. So in regards to inputting coursework, make sure that you use your transcripts to input your coursework. What I always recommend for students is to actually either like print out your unofficial transcripts or have them like in a separate tab in your computer, because it does make it a lot easier when you're inputting your courses, your grades, how many units it was, just because having something that you can look at, you can maybe like cross it off whenever you have completely input it into the UC tab. So it also says list all colleges attended. Earlier, we had a student ask in the chat box, what happens if I attended other LACCD schools? You would input that as a separate school as well, because I know sometimes we attend East LA, however, we maybe took an online class at LA Trade Tech. We never went on campus, but it's online. You would still need to put LA Trade Tech as a different college. So make sure that you list all of the colleges attended. So maybe you took a course or two at PCC or at Long Beach City College at a different college. Make sure that you're putting all of your colleges attended. And then when we're inputting our transcripts as well, you want to input all your classes in chronological order. And so what this means, include your non-transferable and your transferable courses. So the courses that you took that may not be transferable, you still need to put everything on your transcript into this UC tab. And then your grades, and then also your courses in progress / plan. This is really important to put. So even though you haven't taken the classes yet, for winter, for spring, for example, you would still need to input it into UC TAP so that they can take into consideration, they can take into account that you are going to be planning to take these courses. And again, you can update them and change the course later on. However, we want to make sure that you're inputting the courses in progress and planned in your UC TAP right now. So this is a coursework summary. Once you have entered all the coursework from your colleges attended, this will generate your GPA. So it's your total units completed and also the courses that fulfill the eligibility pattern. So this will give you an idea of where you stand in regards to the UC requirements that they need. So right here, it'll say assist certified courses is 3.7, and then non-assist certified courses is a 3.0. So you can see the units that they calculated as well. So your overall would be a 3.6 GPA. So this gives you your transferable GPA. And then at the bottom, it also says courses satisfying UC eligibility pattern. And so they'll give you an idea of whether or not you completed the UC requirements. So for English composition, this student, for example, completed English 101, 102, and 103. For math, they completed Math 227. For arts and humanities, these are all the classes that they took. So just know that this UC TAP is really good at identifying what your transferable GPA is, how many units you've completed, and what courses fulfill your UC eligibility pattern. So this will help you identify that. So for example, this is just for the student. This is how many units the student has, but again, yours will look different because this is just an example. And again, you'll need at least 60 or more units by the end of the time that you're at ELAC in order to transfer. You don't need 60 to apply, you need 60 to transfer. So right now, if you're at like around 30 units, then it would be a good time for you to apply. And now we'll be going over the transfer admission guarantee, so TAG. So this is the tag application. So after you've, it's a part of the transfer admission planner. So in the link that I have sent in the chat box, this is also a part where you can apply for tag. And so it explains to you that there's 6 UC campuses that offer admissions, guaranteed admissions to the California community college students who meet specific requirements. It also shows the UC tag matrix that contains campus specific information for all of the 6 campuses. And so Laura, if you could put in the tag matrix as well for everyone to look at. We'll go through that in the next few slides as well. This is the area where you can select the campus that you would like to tag. And again, you can only tag to one campus. We'll go into more details in that in the next few slides as well. So right here, you'd put your current California community college, which is ELAC, the term and year that you are planning to transfer. So if you're applying right now, you would plan to transfer by fall 2021, which is next year. And then you can also click on which UC tag campus you would like or you're planning to apply to. And again, you can only choose one school to tag. And so for our example, we chose UCSB. And you would input your major. Okay. And this is an overview of tag as well. So there are 6 UC campuses that offer guaranteed admissions to students who meet their specific requirements. We'll go through these specific requirements in the next few slides. But there are 6 UC campuses, which are UC Davis, Irvine, Merced, Riverside, Santa Barbara, and Santa Cruz. And the requirements vary by institution. And so we would refer to the UC tag matrix to look into what the requirements are, what it looks like. And students can only tag to one campus. So you would have to choose one out of the 6 campuses that offer this guaranteed admissions. You can't tag multiple campuses. It has to be one. The filing period is right now, so it's from September 1st to 30th. In regards to tag, you need 30 transferable units right now when you're submitting it. So in September 1st to September 30th, you would need 30 transferable units. And with UC Tag, it requires the UC application and tag application through UC TAP. And so what this means is that you need to complete the UC TAP, which is the link that I sent in the chat box earlier. And then once the UC application opens in November, you would need to also submit the UC application. A lot of times students think that, oh, I already submitted the UC tag application. I don't need to apply for the UC application. This isn't true. You need to apply to both. So both the tag application, which is through the UC TAP, and in November, you would also have to submit the UC application. And so with the UC application, you would have to apply to the school that you tag to. And then if you would like, you can also add in other UCs that you're interested in. So again, just to reiterate, tag is from September 1st to 30th. So that is when you need to submit the UC TAP. And then in November, you would need to apply to the UC application as well. So both of them, UC TAP and UC application. And so the GPA requirements for tag, it's your overall UC GPA. So they take into consideration your overall UC GPA, so those classes that you've taken that are transferable to UCs, and then your major prep GPA. So specific classes that you took for your major, they want to look at your GPA for your major prep. So some schools will be looking for, again, overall UC GPA, so all of the classes that you took that are transferable to UCs, and more specifically, your GPA for your major. So like, for example, if you're a psychology major, they would be looking at your GPA for your psychology major prep. And again, tag is not offered at UC San Diego, UC Berkeley, and UCLA. However, even if you can't tag those schools, you can always apply to them in November. You just won't get that guaranteed admissions. And so tag is offered at 6 of the UCs, but not at UC San Diego, UC Berkeley, and UCLA. So for fall 2021, the UC tag application is submitted September 1st to the 30th through the UC TAP tool, and you can only apply to tag to one campus. And a tip that we always say is tag to a school that you're eligible for. So if you know that the minimum GPA for a campus is 3.5, but you know you don't have a 3.5, you have a 3.3, make sure that you don't tag to that school, tag to one that you do qualify for and that you're eligible for, because this means that you're guaranteed into that school. Tag is an opportunity to transfer to a UC with a guaranteed admissions. So again, if you're not eligible for tag, you can still submit an application in November without completing tag. So if you're looking at the tag matrix and you're seeing like, you know, my GPA doesn't qualify for these schools, just know that it's okay. You can always apply to the UC in November through the UC application. You don't have to tag. And so right now we'll actually be going through the UC tag matrix. So I'm not sure, Laura, if you've put the link for the UC tag matrix in the chat box, but if you can click on that, it will show you some of the specific requirements that schools need in order to qualify for tag. So we won't go through all of them. I'll just go through the important parts where you have to look at. So at the top, it'll say campus, and then it also asks, is a pre-evaluation of coursework provided as a part of tag? For which terms is a tag accepted? What is the tag filing period? So a lot of the times, schools only accept for fall. So the filing period would be September 1st through 30th. However, some schools like Merced and Riverside, they also accept for other terms. So for Merced, you can see they're accepted for spring as well, and the filing period is May 1st to 1st. And then Riverside is accepting for winter, which is May 1st to 31st. But this is important to note because it asks which terms is tag accepted and what's the filing period. So just, this is good to know when the deadline is. A majority of the time it's September 1st to 30th for the fall. And then, is the major guaranteed as a part of tag? And so some schools are only accepting some majors. And so, for example, UC Irvine, where it says what are the excluded majors for tag for UC Irvine, if you're a business admin, dance, nursing, science, and all majors in information and computer sciences, that means that you're not eligible for tag for UC Irvine because they're not accepting these majors. And so for UC Riverside for the fall, they're not accepting art studio, but they will be accepting all other majors. And then they'll also in this page include contact information. So if there's something that you're kind of confused about in regards to the UC tag matrix, you can always call them or email them. You can go onto their website to learn more about their requirements. But this is the first page, and this is pretty much letting us know what are the terms that tag is accepted, what's the filing period, is the major guaranteed, what are the excluded majors, and contact information. And so you would go down to the school that you're interested in looking at, and then make sure you're looking at the specific requirements. For this page, it's asking, can students with non-California Community College coursework from outside of the US file a tag? So say, for example, you have gone to a school outside of the US. Some schools will say no, a lot of schools will say yes, but there will be some specific requirements. So For example, UC Irvine says yes, provided that the student applying after UC lower division limitations and exclusions does not reach or exceed 90 semester units of combined community and four-year college transferable coursework. And so what this means is that UC Irvine says, yes, you can apply as long as you don't exceed 90 semester units of combined coursework. It's also asking for transferable units completed to submit a tag. So all of these schools are asking for 30 semester units. And then transferable units required to fulfill tag, you would need 60 semester units for a majority of these schools. For UCSB, it's saying 60 semester units, 90 quarter, with no more than 18 units needed in spring to reach 60 semester units. And so what this means is that you need 60 in order to qualify and fulfill tag. However, for spring, you can't take more than 18 units. And so what this means is hopefully you'll be taking less than 18 units, but it could also mean that you need to take some courses for the winter as well if you don't reach your 60 units. And then this section, it talks about minimum UC transferable GPA required for tag. If we're looking at Irvine, they're saying the minimum GPA for Irvine is the 3.4. If we're looking at UC Riverside, there's specific colleges that have different GPA. So with Irvine, it's a 3.4, and that's pretty simple, but with Riverside, they're asking you for specific college GPA. So if you are applying for a business, the GPA is 2.8. If you're applying for the School of Public Policy, that's a 2.7. So it all depends. If you're an engineering major, so the minimum GPA would be a 3.0. And then for UCSB, for example, it's a 3.4 GPA by the end of fall. So you would need to have a 3.4 by the end of fall for all the majors. And then for Santa Barbara, it's also saying all majors in economics, mathematics, and bio have a minimum GPA required for major prep courses. And so you would have to go into more detail. If you are confused by any of this, again, you can always make an appointment with a transfer mentor and we can go more in depth with the information that we're going over right now. And then lastly, it's asking, is completion of IGETC required? So we went over the IGETC form earlier, which is the intersegmental general education transfer curriculum. And a lot of these schools are saying, no, you do not need to complete the IGETC in order to be eligible for tag. However, for UC Riverside, for example, it says no, but the School of Business Administration highly recommends that you complete IGETC. On this page, it'll go over the completion deadline for English comp courses, and it'll also go over the qualifications that need to be met. Oh, sorry. And then majors that require major preparation. So again, very similar to the last few, just make sure that you're reading this very carefully and making sure that you are eligible to apply, because we don't want you to tag to a campus that you may not be eligible for that campus. We want you to tag to a campus that you are eligible for so that you can be guaranteed admission to that. Again, if you have any specific questions in regards to the UC tag matrix and if you are eligible, we can also make an appointment for you to meet with a transfer mentor and have a 30-minute individual appointment to look at your transcripts and see if you are eligible for tag. Okay, so we'll go over the UC application timeline right now. So let's skip to September 1st to September 30th, because for July 1st and August 1st, we've already gone through that. September 1st to September 30th, which is right now, the transfer admission guarantee application is open for the fall term. And then October 1st is when you can start filing for financial aid, and Cal Grant verification forms are open to all terms. And the filing period is open through March 2nd of next year. So just know that you can start applying for financial aid on October 1st. And when you are applying, make sure that you add in all the schools that you're planning to attend as well. So you can add in UC Irvine, UCSP. If you're also applying to Cal States, you can add those into your financial aid application as well, just so that they all have access to your financial aid in the future, wherever you decide to go. For November 1st to 30th, for the fall 2021 UC admission application filing period opens for all applicants. So again, we want to reiterate, you are applying for TAG right now, but you have to apply for UC application as well from November 1st to 30th. And then in January 8th, the online application update opens for transfer applicants to report final fall grades in progress or planned courses. And so this is what I was talking about in regards to, let's say you changed your mind and you weren't able to get into that class that you said was planned or in progress. You can update this in January 8th and let them know, like, oh, I actually didn't take that course when I planned to take it. I'm going to take it in the spring, for example. So January 8th, that's when you can update your application to report your fall grades and your in progress and planned coursework. And the priority deadline for this is January 31st. Sorry about that. And then for March 1st, that's when the notification for fall 2021 admission decisions start going out, but just know that some schools may take a little bit longer, some schools may be earlier, but March 1st is when the notification admission decisions start going out. And then on the 2nd is the deadline for financial aid and Cal Grant GPA verification form. So make sure that you're doing that earlier. I would say right when it opens in October, start applying for financial aid. That's really important. For May 1st, that's the notification of fall 2021 admission decisions are complete. So this is when all the schools should have already sent out their admissions decisions. And then from May 1st to 31st, this is the transfer admission guarantee application for winter and spring. So some schools that we went through earlier, they admit students for TAG fall, but some schools also admit students for winter and spring as well. On June 1st, this is a deadline for transfer students to submit their statement of intent to register. So what the statement of intent to register, is also known as SRR, is pretty much confirming to the school that you're committed and you're ready to attend the school in the fall. Again, you should only send in the statement of intent to register to one school that you're really committed to attending. Is pretty much letting them know, like, save me a seat in class because I am ready to attend in the fall. For July 1st, the students who are admitted for fall 2021, this is when final official transcripts need to be sent to the campus admissions office by. And so we don't want to send the official transcripts until they ask us to, so don't send it unless they're asking. But July 1st is when they should already be sent. They have to be postmarked or electronically submitted on or before July 1st. And so what this means is that the school needs to know that you have submitted this before July 1st. And then on July 15th, it's when official AP IB examination results must be sent to the campus admissions office. The test scores must be postmarked or electronically submitted on or before July 15th. So let's say, for example, you took an AP class or IB in high school, and you need to send these records to the UCs. Just make sure that you're sending it or submitting it before July 15th. And then I'm also going to ask you all a few questions in regards to the polling, applying what you learned. And so this helps us get to know where you all are at in regards to our workshop today. And so the questions are, what does TAG stand for? When do I apply for TAG? Do all 9 UC campuses accept TAG? And if you applied for UC Tag, does this mean you don't have to apply for regular fall admission? So if you apply to UC Tag, does this mean you don't have to apply for the UC application again in the fall? So if you all can answer right now, we just want to see where you all are at in regards to how you feel after this workshop. So what does TAG stand for? It doesn't stand for Transfer Amazing Gift, but it is an amazing gift. TAG stands for Transfer Admission Guarantee. And when do I apply for TAG? You would apply for TAG September 1st through 30th, so that's great that you all have answered correctly. Do all 9 UC campuses accept TAG? No, so just make sure that you know that not all of the UCs accept TAG. So for example, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and UC San Diego do not accept TAG. And then if you applied for UC Tag, does that mean you don't have to apply for regular fall admissions? And that's a big no, because you do have to apply for both UC Tag and fill out a UC application again in the fall. So I'm really glad you all were able to answer that correctly, and you all were able to take those away from the workshop today. I'm going to stop recording and stop sharing right now so that we can all answer your questions. Feel free to unmute yourself, and we'll be able to answer your questions. A student says, I heard PIQs would not affect our application as much because we are applying for TAG. Is that true? So in regards to TAG, you do qualify through GPA and specific requirements. So if you do tag to that school, you would qualify for that one specific school. You would still need to apply for the UC application in November, and that would be for all of the UCs. So in case you don't get in for TAG for that one school, definitely still put an effort in your personal insight questions, because this would be sent to all of the other UCs that you're applying for. So I would say it may not affect TAG, but it does affect your application process once you do apply in November to other schools. And then we also have some students ask if they can set an appointment with a transfer mentor to help us review our PIQs. Yes, we have transfer mentors like Laura and myself to help with reviewing PIQs. You can email us right now, and then we'll be able to help set up an appointment for you with a transfer mentor. However, just make sure that you do have something down, that you have a draft with you so that we would be able to help you. These appointments are 30-minute appointments.
Yes, there was a question on here in regards to a student who had planned to take an English class, and what if they change their mind, right? I know you kind of elaborated a little bit about being able to go back and make those changes.
Yeah.
However, can you discuss that a little bit more?
Yeah, so a student said, what if I actually do not take the courses I planned in the planner? For example, they were planning to take English 102 in the winter, but they changed their mind later and decided not to take it. So if for some reason you're not able to take a class in the winter and you decided to change it to spring, you can update your application later on. So just make sure that you're inputting all of your requirements that you're planning to complete and take, but you can always change it later as long as you complete all of your courses before you transfer in the fall. And then Kristen asked, even if we took online classes at other campuses, do we still have to put it in? Yes, so even, for example, you took classes at LA Trade Tech or West LA online and you've never been on campus, on your transcript, it will say that you took it at LA Trade Tech. And so you would need to input that as a separate college and input it into the UC tab. Okay. And then Janelle asked, what if the courses in winter and spring I'll be taking will be from a different LACCD college? What you would do is you would add in that college and say that you're planning to take it at that college in the winter or the spring. Does that make sense, Janelle? So you would add in that college. So for example, you're planning to take a class at West LA, but you've never taken a class there before, you would still need to add in that school and then add in a course and say that you're planning it. So in this slide right here at the bottom right, it says grade. Instead of putting a grade here, you would put planned because you haven't received a grade yet. Your class is in progress or your class is planned. So instead of putting a grade, you would put PL for planned. Okay. And then Janelle, if you change it to LA Trade Tech instead of West LA, for example, you can always update it later on as well. And then Perla, you would need 60 units at the end by the time you transfer in order to transfer. So you don't necessarily need 60 units right now. You just need it by the time that you transfer. Okay. All right, I'll be moving on.
I do see Elizabeth asking, do we have to start an application if you're just starting college? Because it seems like this is for people who are ready to transfer. Great question, Elizabeth.
Right. So this is for students who are ready for transfer, which is 30 units. Usually is the time where you start applying for transfer. If you're just starting your first year, first semester, we're glad that you're here and you do have this information for the future when you do plan to transfer. So probably next year, if you're taking like 15 units per semester. But just know that this is for UC Tag. It is for students who are ready to transfer. So around 30 units, and then you would apply a year before you're ready or before you are eligible to transfer. So around 30 units, again, if you're at 30 units right now, if you've completed 30 units, that's when you would start applying. But if you're just starting college, you're in your first year, first semester, we're glad you're here. And this information should be eligible or should be applicable for the future, but just know that you won't have to create this until you are ready for transfer. Dylan asks, summer terms are included. I'm assuming, are you saying for UC TAP you want to include that you took some courses at ELAC in the summer, because you would need to input all of the courses that you've taken throughout your time at ELAC. So all of the college level courses.
Yeah, and I think there was a prior question by Janelle who asked, there's a question on the UC TAP site that's asked, following your high school graduation, has there been a time when you were not enrolled in a college university for one or more terms? So let's just, for example, say that a student took a gap year, right? And then enrolled. What would you suggest that a student go ahead, like selects in that part?
Yeah, so if they did take a gap year, you can say, yes, there was a time where you have not been enrolled in college, but you would just explain yourself and kind of let them know why you took that gap year. For example, if you were working, if you had other concerns or you had other commitments, you would explain yourself. I think that's a good thing about UC application in general, is that they do give you an opportunity to explain yourself and kind of like show the reasoning behind your decisions, as opposed to like the Cal State applications, for example. It's based strictly off of GPA, the coursework that you took, whereas UCs, they ask you, like they want to get to know you and why you made those decisions. And so just know that they're just asking you to explain yourself. Okay. Yeah, so again, if you took a few years off of taking courses in college, just know that you would select yes, that there was a gap, and then just know that you will have an opportunity to explain yourself and what happened during that time. And then if you started your tag submission and you tagged to that school, just know that you don't necessarily have to attend that school. For example, if you tagged UC Davis, but you got into UCLA at the end, you don't have to go to UC Davis. Just know that you're guaranteed if you do qualify for tag for UC Davis, you're guaranteed admissions to UC Davis, but you can always choose other schools. You're not committed to that specific school yet. Okay. So that's the end of the workshop today, but I know that you all have a lot of questions, so we'll be staying back to answer any of the questions that you may have. I just want to make sure that you all are attending our other upcoming online workshops and are able to follow us on Instagram, which is ELAC Transfer Center. Our Instagram has our upcoming workshops information, very important information to remember as we are going along this transfer application process. So just make sure that you're following us on Instagram. That's mainly where we post our upcoming events and important updates.